was glad when they said, come let us go to the house of the Lord. I was glad when they say, come let us go to the church with no walls. You are my brother, you are my sister. From all over the world we are united in the house of God, in the church with no walls.
Welcome to this edition of the Church with No Walls podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Dearbone, and I have the extreme pleasure of being joined by Jessica Heffinger, who is the Executive Director of Glory Baby Ministry. Jessica, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.
And so, Jessica, if you live in Bowling Green, Warren County, in South Central Kentucky, you probably have heard Jessica's name. She does a lot for the community. Her and her husband, Josh, they are very active. They've had amazing events, and their ministry is just amazing. What Glory Baby has done over the past few years. And so that's why I want to bring you on the podcast, because we're looking at outreach ministries and what they're doing and how they're being serviced. Because a lot of times people think about ministry only being in a church setting, in a church, but there's a lot of ministries that go on outside of the church, and what Glory Baby has done has been absolutely outstanding. So, Jessica, first of all, just tell us a little bit about what Glory Baby is, and then we'll kind of backtrack a little bit about how Glory Baby came to be.
Absolutely. So Glory Baby Ministry specializes in making burial gowns or memorial packages for parents grieving through a miscarriage, stillbirth, or early infant loss. We send packages, what was supposed to be just local only packages. God said, I have plans for you and you're going to be international. So we send those packages out for free all across the world. And it is for 4-week gestation losses through 12-pound infant losses. Even if a family had a loss 50 years ago, they can request a memorial package from us, because everybody's grieving process is different. And just because you had a loss today doesn't mean you're ready for our services today. So when a family is ready, we are here. And
so for you, this is a personal ministry, because you suffered a loss as well. Am I correct?
3 losses, actually. So my husband and I found out we were pregnant with our first baby back in 2010. I was a hall director at Western Kentucky University, and we were in the middle of hall director training. And I was like, I'm going to take a pregnancy test. Took a test. It was positive. My husband was working for an accounting firm, and he came home, and I had made a little package for him to announce that he was going to be a dad. And then we went on about in the crazy world of being a hall director and the training and the RAs arriving, and had some ultrasound appointments, and everything was great. Found out at about 15 weeks, we went to a 3D ultrasound place here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Found out it was a girl. It was the first grandbaby on his side of the family and the first grandgirl on my side of the family. So we were very excited, did what most expecting parents do, and had gender reveal parties and all the stuff that any expecting parent is excited to do. And so at our 20-week anatomy scan, I was 20 weeks, 5 days, or no, maybe 20 weeks, 6 days. I can't remember now. I tell people 21 weeks. Went in, and we didn't know what to expect. We were new parents, newly pregnant, never had been pregnant before. So everything was new. The ultrasound tech said, we'll take about 50 or so pictures, and then we'll let you go empty your bladder, and then you'll come back and I'll turn the screen to you. And we said, okay, that sounds great. After about 5 minutes in the ultrasound room, she said, okay, you can go ahead and use the restroom. So I went to the restroom, came back, and I looked at my husband and I said, I just don't think there's any way she took that many pictures, 50 pictures, because she said, I'll be back. I'm going to go get the doctor. And I also told my husband, I don't think that the doctor usually comes in for these appointments. Something doesn't seem right. And so she stepped out of the room, and I turned the ultrasound screen to us, and there was only 5 pictures on the screen. And one of those was the heartbeat, and it was a straight line. And having done a 3D ultrasound, we knew that it's not supposed to be a straight line. It's supposed to, go up and down. And I told my husband again, I said, I don't think there's a heartbeat. Something's going on. And he was trying to remain positive and let me know, I think this might be routine. It's our first pregnancy. Maybe this is how it goes. And so the doctor came in and he said the words that no expecting parent wants to hear, and that was, there is no heartbeat. And he said, I'm going to take you to a room, let you process for a little bit. And so he took us to a private room and he said, okay, we're going to have to prep you and take you over to the hospital. And I had never known anybody that had a miscarriage, knew nobody that had had a stillbirth. And I was like, what do you mean you have to take me to the hospital? He said, we got to prep you for labor and delivery. In my mind, I had no clue how this baby was going to get out of me because we, again, knew nobody that had went through it. And so we went to the hospital. We had to walk through the waiting room where all the expecting parents were. We, of course, were losing it, crying. I labored for over 9 hours and we delivered a 1 pound, 2 ounce baby girl that we named Riley Marie. And that day changed our life forever. I know this is a podcast about church and, you know, ministries outside the church and outreach. But in 2010, when this happened, I was angry. I was angry at God. My husband went through, you know, husbands and wives, men and women, we all grieve differently. He went through a process of thinking, what sin has he done that God would take our baby away from us? I was angry at God. It was a good 3 months before I came out of it, a state of anger. I was in a Bible study group at the time, and I told the women in my group, they kept calling and texting, and I wouldn't answer the calls. I said, just keep texting me, and I want you to text me scripture. Even if I tell you to stop, just continue to text me scripture. And so they continued to do that. And one day, one of the scriptures just resonated with me. It was Proverbs 3:5-6. And I was like, okay, they're going to get better. The Lord has a plan. He has a purpose for all trials and tribulations that we go through. And here we are, you know, 15 years later, coming up on 15 years since our loss, and Glory Baby Ministry is here. It's been a journey, but a very much needed journey.
Wow, that's first of all, I mean the blessing that came out of it, but I can only imagine the heartache and like you said, you know, and yes, this is a podcast about church, but the realness of it, of the anger, the hurt, the pain, because I couldn't imagine walking through the waiting room and seeing all these other expectant mothers and babies, and knowing that you're going to give birth to a baby that's already passed on. So absolutely, that makes all the sense in the world. So you've already, you know, you've kind of come through. What made you decide that, okay, we need to work on a ministry for families, mothers, husbands that are going through the same type of anguish and pain? How did it progress from there?
So we had our stillbirth in 2010, December 3rd, 2010. Found out that our daughter that was stillborn had a blood clot in her cord, and that I had a blood clotting condition. So if we did get pregnant again, we would have to take blood thinner shots. And so we found out about 3 months later. We started trying again, found out we were pregnant, delivered a healthy baby girl the next December 26th of 2011. And then in 2012, we had an early miscarriage. In 2013, we had an early miscarriage. And then in 2014, 16, and 18, we had healthy baby girls. And so it was in 2016, it was laid on my heart. I saw a ministry on Facebook called God's Littlest Angels out of Russellville, Kentucky, and they were taking wedding dresses and turning them into burial gowns for babies. And I told my husband, I said, I think I'm supposed to collect wedding dresses and take them to Owensboro. It's only an hour from Bowling Green. I said, that's what I'm supposed to do with our loss and turn it to our pain to purpose. I'm supposed to take these wedding dresses, drive them to Owensboro, and that's the purpose behind everything. So I did that for about a year, and the founders, or one of the founders of God's Littlest Angels, I was a photographer at the time, and she said, will you do a mommy and me session of me and my daughter? And I said, sure. She drove to Bowling Green. I did a session, and after the session, she said, I think you should start your own ministry the founder and I have talked, and we will help you get up and started. And that was in the fall of 2016. And I told her, I said, I can't sew a button on. So how's this going to work? Running a ministry that sews burial gowns. She said, I don't know, but the Lord put it on us to tell you to start this ministry. So I went home, told my husband. He was like, how are you going to find the volunteers? How are you going to do it? Again, you can't sew. I was like, I don't know. Let's pray about it. So we prayed about it for about 6 months. And in March of 2017, we decided, hey, we're going to get this started, named it Glory Baby Ministry, made a Facebook page called Glory Baby Ministry. And that was in March. And by May of that year, we had over 500 wedding dresses in our garage. And we said, okay, we're doing this thing. And so we started reaching out to people and said, we're not a nonprofit, but we have this ministry and we aren't rich. We had multiple kids at home at that time. And I said, we need stamps. We need envelopes. We need people to come help cut up dresses. And so we would have volunteer parties at our house and they would bring their kids, and everybody was sitting around, and the pictures I have, our house was a disaster with wedding dress material everywhere. But that's exactly where we needed to be. And in the fall of 2017, we had a community member reach out to my husband. He said, my wife and I just experienced a loss, a miscarriage, and they had walked alongside of us when we had our stillbirth. And they said, what can we do to help? And my husband said, Jessica really wants Glory Baby to become a nonprofit because a lot of businesses can't help unless you have that 501c3 behind your name. He said, I'll pay for it. And so in September of 2017, we became a nonprofit. We served our first family in May of 2017. Again, I said, we're going to be local only. We're going to be in the Warren County, Kentucky area, and that's it. And in May of that year, a friend reached out to me. I was a hall director with her husband. They were living in Iowa now, and one of her friends had had a loss. And she said, can you send her a package? And I said, I'm not going to tell her no. She can't go to the store and buy something. And so we sent our first package to Iowa. I walked into FedEx, cried the entire time I was mailing the package. The person probably thought I was a nut job. And we mailed our first package to Iowa. And in 2017, we served losses across the nation. And my husband's like, it's not very many losses. I was like, no, it's not. But we made an impact on 6 families' lives. And that's what we're supposed to do. And then in 2020, we went international when a family reached out to us out of the United Kingdom. And then last year, I told you in 2017, we served 6 losses. We have doubled every single year. And last year, we served 527 losses across 44 states and 6 countries. And in 2025, we are anticipating that we will hit 1,000 losses by the end of this year. And again, completely free to families. And that's why we have fundraisers and why we have monthly donors and why we ask for money every month, because again, we're not rich, but our community, absolutely amazing. All those losses we've served since 2017, we have not had to ask the families for money. We've been able to send those out for free. We spend close to $30,000 in shipping costs a year. If it's a memorial package, it costs about $15 to ship it because those families lost were years ago, months ago, and they don't need it quickly. But if it's a burial package, meaning they have a funeral or a memorial service coming up, it includes a burial gown with it, then we have to get those overnighted very quickly. We have usually 24 to 48 hours to play with because babies that small can't be embalmed. And so those packages used to cost like $50. Shipping keeps going up. So we've had to pay close to $200 for overnighting some of our packages to get it to families in time. And we only overnight packages within the United States because getting packages quickly overseas would be a little much. But that's what we do, and that's how far we've come in a short amount of time. And the Lord just continues to show us the way, and we continue to trust in that, even though some days are harder than others, that's for sure.
Wow. And I can only imagine for the families that are reaching out to you, obviously, it's not easy. and the fact that they feel they can reach out to you because they want, whether it's a quick turnaround for a burial or something to memorialize a baby, there's got to be emotion attached with that. What have you heard from some of the people that you've been able to bless with this?
Actually, we sent on Friday this past week, we sent 55 packages out across 24 states and 3 countries. And they're starting to arrive to people's houses. And we just got a message last night, and let me read it to you. Dear Glory Baby Ministry team, I just wanted to take a moment to personally thank you for the beautiful memorial package I received today. I was truly overwhelmed with emotion at the care, thoughtfulness, and love poured into every detail of the box. Honoring my 3 angel babies in such a meaningful way means more to me than I can put into words. Your ministry brought me comfort in a season that often feels lonely and heavy, and I'm deeply grateful for the way you serve families like mine with such tenderness. Thank you again for helping me feel seen, remembered, and supported with heartfelt appreciation. And it's messages like that that make me realize there was a purpose in our loss. Not everybody gets to see God's plans this side of earth, and we are blessed to see his plans laid out for us. Do I want my daughter back? Absolutely. Would I change God's plans and path for me? Absolutely not. And again, easier said than done. If you would have asked me this back in 2010 when we were going through the trenches, I would have said, I'm not starting a ministry. I'm mad at God. I'm not doing that. But his timing is perfect, even though sometimes we can't see it, right?
Absolutely. And so and you kind of touch on it, how has this been some level of healing for you to be able to, some people when things happen to them, they just kind of they internalize it, they deal with it, but being able for you to be able to outwardly help others, has that in some way healed you? Has it in some way, how has it, I guess, maybe changed you or blessed you over the past few years?
Um, yes, I like went through. I feel like I went through all the stages. That the anger and sadness and all the emotions that come with it. But now I can see all the blessings that come from it. And I think about after we lost Riley, I had another hall director reach out to me, and she's like, "I had a stillbirth a couple of years ago," and I'm like, "Well, why didn't I know this?" And she's like, "I don't really talk about it," and that's when I realized I want to talk about it. I want my daughter's memories to stay alive, and that's when I also realized everybody grieves differently. I'm very outspoken about our loss. Not everybody is like that, and that's okay. Grief is not it's not a race, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. And that's what I have the opportunity to speak for those that can't, that are in such a place that they're just not in a place to be able to talk about their loss. And that's okay because we're here. Glory Baby Ministry is here. We have a whole team. We have a board of directors, and we have thousands of families that have walked through the loss. And that's why this past March of 2025, we just launched Glory in the Morning, MOURNING. And it is a local support group for men and women grieving through the loss of a baby. And then we have our Bereaved Brothers, which is specifically for men grieving through the loss of a baby. That's something, and I'd love for you to sit down and talk to my husband, because the men's side of grief completely different than a woman's side of grief. And he didn't feel seen when we had our loss, because he's the man. He's supposed to be strong. You need to be there for your wife. He was told that many times. Don't cry. And he's like, but I held our daughter, our lifeless daughter. Like, I was there too. I'm her dad. Like, why do I have to put my emotions to the side too? Like, I should be able to grieve. And so Bereaved Brothers, it's newly starting, but it's already been fantastic. They're going to attend some Hot Rods games together, have a barbecue later in the fall. And then our Glory in the Morning for the ladies is going to be getting together, and Bereaved Mother's Day is 4th. So I get to, through my losses, love on all these other women and men and let them know it's okay if you don't want to talk about it, and it's okay if you do. Everybody grieves differently. So that's how I've been blessed and been able to heal by helping others heal. It's been absolutely amazing.
And that's just beautiful that you all are creating a safe space for people to talk about it because yeah, like to your point, I've known people who have suffered miscarriages and they had never mentioned it to me, not that they needed to, not something that I never ever needed to know about, but some have been, vocal about it and some have not been. And like you said, everybody grieves differently. Uh, and I think it's a blessing that that you all have created that space for them to to grieve, to celebrate, to do whatever they need to do. And there's a way for them to see a path forward. For those who you said some of people have it's been years, decades, however long since their child passed. Uh, do you are they do they is their process any different or how they're grieving different than somebody who maybe has more recently lost a child?
Um, I feel like if it's somebody that's lost a baby years ago, we've been told don't talk about it. And so it's, when it's years ago and you're told not to talk about it, you suppress that grief for so long. Um, yeah, it's different, completely different. I had calls and calls and calls of people saying that they had had losses and never had talked about it. I'm like, how can that be healthy? To have to suppress that. So yes, I think absolutely that it's completely different. And with having Glory Baby Ministry, families are able to, when they have a loss, be able to reach out to somebody that knows what they've been through, talk about it. And I think it's definitely a healthier way to grieve through the process. Does it make it any quicker? No, but it's a healthier way, in my opinion, to get through it. And you don't have to talk. I can talk. You can listen. Or if you want me to sit and listen, we can do that too. Men, we can connect you with the bereaved brothers. Women, we can connect you with women on our board of directors or other volunteers that are willing to sit and listen or talk to you. We're not professionals. We're not therapists. We're not counselors, but we are people that have walked this road and we want to be here for each other in any way that we can.
And then you mentioned obviously you guys aren't rich. You guys do spend a lot of money in order to make this happen. So you guys do several fundraisers. So talk a little bit about some of the fundraisers you all do in order to raise the funds to be able to continue the ministry.
Absolutely. And for those listening, if you're out of state, guess what? We have opportunities for you too. So our biggest fundraiser of the year is Derby Darlings. It's held the first Thursday in March every year. This past year was our 5th year hosting Derby Darlings, and we brought in $76,000 that night. You think of Kentucky Derby, Derby Darlings is where it's at. So we have a fashion show where we have local community members that model. We've had the police chief and the sheriff. We've had owners of restaurants. We've had grandmothers and grandfathers. Santa Claus was there this year. So you name it, we have every age. My daughter, who is 13, modeled this year. So we want to get the community involved. And we have a big fashion show. We auction off hats, but we have silent auction as well that's open to the public. Derby Darling sells out at 350 people every year. So it's a great event. So that's our biggest fundraiser. And then we do a yearly professional headshot day. We actually just had that yesterday and Sunday. And so for $50, you get a high resolution image, and that $50 goes straight to the ministry. Great opportunity. Our photographers are amazing. They donate their time and talent. So that's our 2 spring fundraisers. And then we have a fundraiser in August that we start pre-selling raffle tickets. It's called 30 Days of Giveaways. And every single day in September, we give away two $50 Amazon gift cards. So you have 60 chances to win, and that is open to anybody in the state of Kentucky per gaming license rules. And so anyone can participate in our 30 Days of Giveaways raffle. And all these details are on our website, glorybabyministry.org. And so we have day sponsors for every single day in September. So if you're a business owner and you want advertising, 30 Days of Giveaways is a great opportunity $300 per day. You get the whole day, and I read about your business on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We make a post, and then we go live every single day in September, and we read about your business during the Facebook Live, and then we post that on YouTube as well. Gloria Baby has a YouTube channel. We're big time. Not really. It doesn't have a lot of subscribers, but that's okay. And then in November of every year, we do a murder mystery dinner. We just started that last year. And I think your lovely wife is coming this year. She won a free ticket to attend.
She did. She did.
Yeah. Yeah. I told her, I said, you have a free ticket, but if Ryan wants to come, he's going to have to pay. So
that's fair.
Hopefully you'll come with her.
Yep.
But yeah, so we have the murder mystery company that we hire. They bring in actors, and we get to collect clues and figure out who the murderer is at the end of the night. So we have 200 people that attend that event. This will be our second year. And the theme for 2025 is the most wonderful crime of the year, and it is ugly Christmas sweater theme. So it's going to be a good time. And then our daughter that was stillborn would be turning 15 and on December 3rd. And so something we started when it was her 10th birthday is the Heavenly Birthday Challenge. And so for her 10th birthday, I told the board of directors, I said, I want to raise $10,000 for her 10th Heavenly Birthday. My husband said, let's shoot for 1,000. And I said, I don't do anything small. We're going to shoot for 10,000. And on her, on December 3rd, her 10th Heavenly Birthday, I had messages coming. How close are you to the goal? How close are you to the goal? I was like, you've already donated. They're like, I don't care. How close are you? And she was born at 9:54 p.m. And by 9:54 p.m., we had reached $10,000. And I said, for her 11th birthday, let's do $11,000. My husband's like, let's do 10,100. And I'm like, we're going to do 11. And then for her 12th birthday, we did 12. And then 13,000. Last year, we did 14,000, and we have reached our goal every single year. And so that's an opportunity for anyone across the world to be able to donate. We have Venmo and PayPal and credit cards. You can mail cash, check, and we have all the ways. So those are our big main fundraisers. And then we host an event that is an awareness event, and it's a really special event for our town. And it's called Celebrate Anyways, a Happy Birthday Bash, the birthday party you never got the chance to plan. Whether that was your baby's first birthday, your grandmother's 99th birthday, everyone in the community is most likely grieving the loss of someone that they love. And so we wanted to have the biggest birthday party that Bowling Green, Kentucky has ever seen. And so last year was our third year putting it on at Buchanan out Nashville Road. They offer the space for us for free. And it will be August 16th of 2025 this year. And it's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and everything is completely free. And so we had 72 vendors last year. Everybody runs a game or an activity. Any business can set up. They just have to fill out a form saying what game or activity they're going to have at the event. With grief comes stress. We have free chair massages. We have free hand massages. We usually have free ice cream. Mission Barbecue gives out free samples of food. We have games. So we have stuff for the adults. We have stuff for the kids. And it is a great time. We had around 500 people come through last year. And again, everything's free because we want the community to know it's not just about the fundraising. It is about letting people know that you are not alone in your journey of grief. Somebody out there is also grieving, and let's come together. Let's support one another. And yeah, so that's our stuff for the year. It's a lot. Oh, wait, we have one more fundraiser that is also nationwide, actually international. So it is called We Remember. It is a virtual 5K. I had a mother reach out to me 2 years ago. She said, I've had 3 losses. She had had a stillbirth, she had had a miscarriage, she had had an infant loss. And she said, I've turned to running to grieve through my losses. And I said, I turned to food, so you're better than me. And I said, I don't know anything about running, but let's do this. And so in about a weekend, because she said, I want to do it by this date. And I was like, that's a month and a half away. She's like, I know. She's like, but that's my son's heavenly birthday. I said, girl, we're going to do it. So in a weekend, I designed a graphic. We had a virtual 5K with optional in-person gatherings. So if you're in Bowling Green, Kentucky, we work with the Runners Lounge. If you're living near Whitesville, Kentucky, we host a 5K the first Saturday in November. But we had, I think, 5 states participate last year. And so you have the entire month of October to complete your 5K, or if you want to sign up for the Memorial Mile, you can do a mile as well. If you don't complete it, guess what? Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to know.
That's true.
And so so you sign up on our website. It's a donation to the ministry. Anybody can sign up. And it's a great way to remember our babies, because October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And so we take the entire month to remember our babies gone too soon, and complete a 5K or a memorial mile. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Wow, I mean, you guys are doing a lot, and you're creating so many spaces and places. And yeah, it sounds like from just the community's really been a huge key in helping to grow Glory Baby, which for you, how has it been seeing the community buy in and come together to help your vision and what you and your husband are doing to be able to reach it to an international level, not just here in Kentucky, but in an international setting?
I mean, words can't really express our gratefulness for the community, because we could not do this alone, at all. We've had nonprofits to walk beside us, to guide us through what it means to be a nonprofit. Kentucky Kids on the Block, their executive director, Ashley Reynolds, was kind of my mentor as we got started, and really helped guide me along our way, because I knew nothing about the nonprofit world. So it's not just about the community that makes monetary donations. It's those that are praying for us, those that are making the donations, those that are giving us advice, giving us guidance. It takes a whole lot of people to run a nonprofit. We just had a board meeting on Monday night, and I invited some visitors to come check it out to see what the behind the scenes looks like. And my friend texted me the next day, and she said, I did not know that this much went into running a nonprofit. And I'm like, it's a business. It truly is. And I thought, like most people that know nothing about the nonprofit world, when I started, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be easy peasy. No, here we are, putting in, 50, 60 hours a week. It's not easy peasy. But it's very much a blessing to be able to run it, and to be able to walk alongside the community that supports us and along the way, because I couldn't do this alone. Definitely could not do it alone. So it's been absolutely amazing seeing the community reach out and help guide us along the way.
And then how has your faith grown, and how has your faith maybe even transformed and changed over these past few years, from obviously where you were at to where you are now, and being able to see God's work through your work, and how it's affecting people internationally and just in general. How has that changed your faith?
Absolutely. It's made it stronger. Like I said earlier on in the podcast, did I go through a hard time? Was I angry? Absolutely. But we're human. I mean, who wouldn't go through those different emotions? We're going to go through it. But luckily for us, and my husband and I say, you know, husband and wives will go through struggles, and sometimes you'll come out on the other end for the good, and sometimes you may not. And because of our faith and being strong in our faith when it happened, we got through it, and it has made us a stronger couple. And we were able to, have we had to go through marriage counseling because of our losses? Absolutely. But counseling was the best thing we could ever done. We weren't struggling. We weren't on the verge of divorce. We just needed guidance of how do we process grief? Like, how do you process grief as a couple when you both are grieving differently? How do you process that? And so that's where the professionals come in. Again, we have Glory in the morning, the support group, but we're not professionals. I can tell you how we went through it and how we've gotten through it, but sometimes you need different guidance than what we can provide. Or you might have to have medication, which I'm on medication for depression. And my kids are like, Mom, did you take your angry medicine today? You know what? I did. That's fine. And we move on. So, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But my faith is so much stronger today than it ever has been, because, like I said, we get to see God's plans laid out for us this side of earth. Not everybody gets that. Um, but had you asked me that in 2010, I would have said, mm-mm. No, God, who's that? No, I don't want anything to do with him. And so, but luckily, I had a whole community praying for me and got through it. And because of that, my faith is stronger than it's ever been today. So grateful for God's guidance through all of this.
That's amazing. And how do you for your kids, how do you kind of explain to them, what's like with Riley? How do you bring them to the understanding of the circumstances, and then to obviously why you do what you do? How do you bring them along, and how much do they understand? Obviously, with them being a little bit older now, how do you kind of have those conversations with your children?
Yeah. My daughters now are 6, 8, 10, and 13. The 13-year-old volunteers for the ministry. She comes and sets up at events with me. She can do my spiel as better than I can sometimes. But they fully understand. They know that Riley is safe. We put lamb charms on all of our gowns and all of our bracelets to represent the babies are safe and in the shepherd's arms. And they know that Riley is right where she needs to be. And when we're sad, our 10-year-old last year for Riley's birthday, Mom, it's okay. Riley's in heaven. It's okay to be sad, Mom. And so they completely are there days that they don't understand? Absolutely, they're kids. But most days they understand what we're doing. We get them involved. They help with the ministry. Our October 15th is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. It's recognized internationally. And our daughter, our 10-year-old, read a poem last year. It's called Mommy Don't Cry. We were all crying in the room. So they understand when we first told them about Riley, because it was our first baby. So when we're out in public, there's days I'm okay talking about it, and I run a nonprofit that does this, and there's days I don't want to talk about it. And so, but they didn't know that when they were younger, and we would be out in public, and they'd say, "How many kids do you have?" And I'd say, "Oh, I have 4." And they said, "No, Mommy, you have 5. Remember, actually, you have 7 because of the other babies that passed away." And then that opens up a conversation they have to talk about at the store. But the fact that they know, Mommy, you have other babies, we have siblings. But again, everybody grieves differently. Just because we're okay talking about it in our household doesn't mean that you have to. You grieve how you need to grieve in a healthy way. If talk, if grieving through that and you've passed it and you don't want to talk about it again, that is totally fine with however your family needs to handle it to get through it is completely fine. Because everybody grieves differently. Not somebody listening to the podcast thinking that, well, I haven't talked about my baby in years. That's okay too. You need to grieve how you need to grieve to get through things.
And so if somebody's wanting to connect with you, whether it's for a burial gown, a memorial, wanting to learn more about some of the events that you talked about, how is the best way for somebody to contact you?
Our website, glorybabyministry.org. We have a wonderful company, Bigfoot Technology Group, who keeps our website up to date. They do that for free, absolutely amazing. But we are also on all those social media platforms. So we're on Facebook. We have a Facebook page as well as a Facebook group. I have found that if you're in a group, you get notified more often than if you just follow a page. So our group is Glory Baby Ministry Inc. And then our page is Glory Baby Ministry. And then we're on Instagram as Glory Baby Ministry, and we are on TikTok as Glory Baby Ministry. And then you can find Glory Baby Ministry on LinkedIn as well as my profile on LinkedIn, Jessica Heffinger. And so, yeah, follow us on all those platforms. But if you want to donate, if you want to request a memorial package, do that on our website. But we would love to have you follow our social media platforms. And again, you can also reach us via email through our website as well.
So last question, for somebody who maybe is going through it recently or previously, what do I know there's probably not one piece of advice, but what is something that you want them to remember or take with them if they're listening to this podcast?
1 in 4 pregnancies end in a loss. Therefore, you are not alone. I felt very lonely after our loss. And when people started reaching out to me saying that they had losses too, I still felt alone because I felt like I shouldn't talk about it. But it's okay. It's okay to grieve differently. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay not to talk about it. Know that you're not alone, and know that everyone grieves differently.
I think those are great words. I think those are honest words. So, Jessica, thank you so much for taking some time and being on the podcast. I very much appreciate it. I mean, obviously, I've said it again. I'll say it again. What you guys are doing is amazing, and it's truly a blessing. And it's a blessing that you don't have to go into a church to find. It's a blessing that is all around in our community, and it's all around, and internationally, it's all over. So I think that's an absolute blessing. Jessica, thank you for spending some time with us on the podcast. I very much appreciate you and everything that you're doing, and we will make sure to get those links on our socials for the website, for all that, so that way if people want to connect with you, they can do it through our podcast as well. But with that, I want to say thank you again, Jessica. And you have been listening to the Church with No Walls podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Dearbone. As we always say, take care and be blessed.
You are my sister. From all over the world, we are united in the house of God, in the church with no walls.